Astronauts report it feels good. T-minus 25 seconds. 20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes.
Hello there. It's Scott and Andy here. How you doing? This could be funny, mate.
It's going to be good. It'll be something. Yeah.
Say that, mate?
It'll be something.
Just so you know, my name's Scott MacArthur, and I live in the Cotswolds, and he is
Andy Muir, and I am currently living in Sydney, Australia.
Sydney. So we're slightly excited about. Hang on, I need to put my phone off. We're slightly excited about the technology, guys. Hopefully, it'll work. If you can hear us, could somebody just type hello into Facebook or whatever platform you're using, because the platforms are notoriously dodgy at the moment. So if somebody could just say hello. I'm guessing if you can hear me, Andy, we can hear each other and they can hear us.
Oh, someone says.
Hi, Moira. There we go. Excellent. Thanks very much for saying hello. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm still a bit knackered from last night at football. I'm imagining there might be quite a few Scottish people on. Hi, Steve. We seem to be getting on the... If I'll show you this, folks, I can actually put your comments up on the screen, but it's not putting your names on. So I'm really sorry about that. That's a real pain. We need to work out why that is, Andy. I think I maybe know, actually. I think I maybe know. Anyway, thanks for joining us tonight. It's good you can hear us.
I wasn't knackered. That game yesterday, I wasn't knackered because it was the morning for me.
Oh, God. I drank about... I can't even tell you how much I drank. I was sitting here in my wee room in the Cotswolds. I was sitting here in my wee room in the Cotswolds, and I was greeting like a Wayne. It was ridiculous. Hi, Eddie. Thanks very much. It's nice to see so many folk popping in. Now, this has anybody been watching Fish on Friday? He's been broadcast. What time is it? 6 o'clock on a Friday, mate. Yeah. Big Fish has been doing it, and he's been drinking this stuff. And this shows you how ill I am from last night. I'm drinking alcohol-free beer. I mean, this is the first and last time you'll see me drinking this. Anyway, welcome to the Glasgow Apollo live broadcast. We're really nervous about this, but quite excited as well. I think that's fair, mate?
Yep.
What we'd like to do tonight is ask for your advice, really, because we've got some ideas, and I've got some stuff I'll show you in a minute about how we're going to run this, but we want it to be a fan-based thing. So although Andy and I will drive it, it would be really cool if folk could give us some help with that and come up with some ideas. If you could type in your name and where you're from, that would be really helpful. I had a few guys earlier. It was amazing. I mean, I put it on the Facebook group, folks, and we mentioned it, I think it was a fortnight ago that we were going to do this, and we've had over 400 responses. And I counted it, I think it was about 8 different countries. I mean, Jesus, it's unbelievable. The Apollo still goes with everybody all over the world. So type your name and where you are in, that would be great. And it can help us just understand things like time. Because one of the things I want to ask you about, I know Tom Russell's on just now with his hiya from Helensburgh. Who's that? Moira from Helensburgh. I wish I was in the Helensburgh. Tom Russell's on just now, so we're suspecting that this isn't a good time, because I think he's on from 7 till 11, and I know a lot of folk that are on the Facebook group like Tom, so we might need to move it, but we'll take your guidance on that. Andy, what time is it for you?
It's 8:34 in the morning.
8:34. God. Who's that? Hi, Steve. Steve Hall. Nice to see you, Steve. In Holland. God. So what are you, 1 hour, 2 hours ahead, Steve? Anyway. Right. So, in terms of how we got here, I'd like to just give a little bit on that, because we've had, I was looking at it last week, it's been 17 years since Andy and I started the Glasgow Apollo website. Should we tell that story, mate? I think we should tell that story. I think some of you might know it. Steve's an hour ahead. William Browning in Glasgow. How you doing, mate? Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Thanks for joining us. What happened was, I think, were you in Sydney? You were in Sydney. And we were talking to each other on, it was called Yahoo Messenger, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
best technology ever.
It was quite good, actually, wasn't it? It's a shit, I miss it. And we were talking about the Apollo, and Andy and I really only went to the Apollo in I think it was the late 70s, then 80s, until it shut. One of it, I don't know who it was. It was one of us. I can't remember who it was. Said, "I wish let's have a look and see if there's a website," and there wasn't. And that's basically how the website started. Here's somebody saying 17 years.
What I thought there was no. It was difficult remembering the gigs.
Yeah.
That you were not that you'd been to, because I kept my tickets, but you didn't. But it was difficult remembering. Oh, was it 1983 or 1984 we went to see them, or because there was two gigs we went to, and then like I went to see Wings in 78, I think. 78, I think, and it was difficult to work out. So the only list I had was in that book.
Russell Lesbetter.
Yeah, Russell Lesbetter. Yeah.
So that's how it started. It was quite weird because within a day, Andy is a web developer, and within a day with thousands of hits, it was ridiculous. And then Tom Morton, who some of you might remember from Radio Scotland, got in touch.
Yeah.
And he said, "Look, could you do an interview?" So I went up to Glasgow. I was living in Cheshire at the time, and I did a radio interview with him. And the thing went absolutely bloody mental. I mean, it was unbelievable, and that's been it ever since. We've now had, I think it's 28 million hits or something on the website. I mean, it's just ridiculous. We've done 2 or 3 books. We've done there's somebody else was at the Wings gig, mate. And there you go. Who's this? Lorraine was at the Wings gig as well. You both got terrible taste in music.
Did you see a wee boy looking confused? Because that was me. Wee boy, my sister was there too. We were very confused.
I need to practice. I was going to say. God, imagine going to say. Actually, I did the Mind Wings. They were all right. Anyway,
when they played, I'll just talk about Wings for a second. When they played, Hey Jude, that was amazing for me, because it was him. I think it was just him on the piano, or no, Let It Be, maybe one of them. And I was just watching. I was going, this is insane. It was the first kind of musical thing I'd been to, big musical thing. And I think I told you before. I've told you before. Like, I was standing beside this guy who was doing this weird headbanging thing, and I was going, what is he doing? But it was headbanging to Wings. I couldn't understand it. Maybe it was Live and Let Die, but I don't know. It was a good gig. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. And then after the Mulligan Tire band came on, that was amazing. Just when you're a wee kid and seeing that, it's just formative. Whoa, it's amazing. Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Did you not go and see the Wombles as well? Anyway.
No, you did. You saw the Wombles.
We just had a note here from Tommy Gray. Hiya, Tommy. How you doing? Resident DJ at the Apollo Disco from 73 to 79. Wow. Happy days. We now have a radio program on a Wednesday night called Apollo Memories. Do you? Radio show on the online station. Hello, Tommy. Nice to meet you, mate. Didn't know that existed. Fantastic. I bet that's a good laugh. So anyway, thanks very much. Who's this? I agree, it wasn't their finest hour. Oh dear. Right. God, there's a lot of comments. I'm gonna have to keep my head up here. There's too many comments for me to read them all. Thanks, Tommy.
Did you getting back to the Wombles, did you enjoy them?
The Wombles are fantastic. It was actually quite good music, the Wombles. Yeah. Tommy's saying he also did the maintenance in the Apollo with William Paul. Well, I've come across William Potts and Jim Stewart. Loads of great stories. Oh, Tom, we might need to talk to you, mate.
I've chatted
Sorry?
to Willie on Facebook. I've chatted to William on Facebook.
Oh yeah,
We will. Yeah.
we had. I don't know if it was you, Tommy. I mean, the problem with this thing going on for so long now, I'm starting to forget what we've done with the website. But there was one guy got in touch with me who had been backstage. It might even be you, mate. I don't know. And he invited me to his house in Glasgow, and I went to his house, and I swear to God, you'll remember this, Andy. He had a shrine to the Glasgow Apollo, and it was like it wasn't a small room. It was like a double bedroom, a huge double bedroom, and it was covered in stuff from the Apollo. It was utterly amazing, and so many of these things happened. I do wish I'd done a bit of a diary actually, because it's a while ago now, and I've forgotten a lot of the stuff. But I suspect this might bring it back. Anyway, that's how that's happened, and then it developed into Facebook came along, and Andy and I decided to start this Facebook group, and we didn't know what would happen. But to be honest, it's taken over from the website very much, hasn't it? I mean, that's fair to say, I think. Astonishing how many folks, 8,000 people in a Facebook group for such a niche is incredible. So it just shows you the staying power of the Apollo is unbelievable. But I'm just going to check the comments. If anything else I need to mention. Here's somebody talking about.
With the group, with the Facebook page, it is easier to sort of do your memories and everything. I did try and make something on the site, but Facebook's easier.
It's easier, isn't it? Yeah. So Steve's saying, I think my Apollo Ozzy story's in the book. I'll have a look, Steve. I've got the book here. If you don't have a copy of that, we're going to have a competition tonight. You can win a copy of it. So we'll fire one of them to somebody, but we'll give you the question before we finish. And here's someone else. Kevin. Hi, Kevin. And he said he interviewed Bernie Marsden. What a man. I'm going to finish with some Bernie Marsden on the radio show last week. Apollo was his theatre gigging highlight. I bet it was. I saw him with Whitesnake a couple of times. We've got somebody in from Melbourne as well. John Carroll Bellotti. Hello. My goodness. Ridiculous. There you go, Andy. You got folk that are as close to you as I am to Russia.
Yes.
Right. All right. So I'm prattling, but it's just amazing to see some of the comments. It's incredible. Let me just talk a wee bit about what we're thinking about doing. And as I said earlier, I'd love your advice. Andy and I would love you to think about it and tell us what you think. And we've actually got an email address there on the screen. That if you've got anything you want to get in touch with us about, any ideas, or you want to enter the competition, that's how you get in touch with us. We're both very active on Facebook, but you're probably better to go through the email because there's so many people in this, it's difficult to keep track of it. Maybe I'll get better at it, but at the moment it's amazing. So that's how to get in touch with us. There's nothing on there. It's been used for years, but I've cleared it out, so I won't miss anything. So if you want to get in touch with us, drop us a line, and that's how best to do it. So some of the ideas we've been thinking about, and this is what we'd like your feedback on, because there's so much we could do. We're only going to do maybe a 40-minute show normally, but we could do an hour. But I want your help with this so we get it right. And I mean, we could prattle on all night, I'm sure. The other thing we can do is we can get people to come on and join us. It's really easy. Andy's just done it. I can send a link to you, and bang, you're on the show. So if somebody's got a story they want to tell, I'm quite keen to get you on the show, because this is a bit fans, and I want it to be a bit for us. I don't want it to be some sort of me and Andy getting pissed on a Friday night. Maybe not a bad idea, mate, right enough, but it's 8:30 in the morning for you. It's not going to work.
I don't want to be. It would spoil my day, man.
It might be. But so we're kind of open to ideas on that. But I suspect one or two things are quite obvious. One thing we'd like to do is talk about the bands that played this week at the Apollo, right? And I've been talking to some music lawyers, believe it or not, because I wanted to get this right. And although we're slightly on dodgy ground, don't tell anybody, right? Don't tell anybody this. But what I've been told is that, as long as we don't do too much, and we're not trying to make money off the bootlegs, we might be able to play some of the bootlegs. Just bits of them, a song here and there. I'd rather play video, of course, but there's not that much video. I mean, there's obviously AC/DC and Blondie and a few others. There's some Yes stuff, etc. But there's not a lot of that around, so it'll have to be sound stuff. Now, I can do a bit of editing, so I can do a little bit, but I don't want to have too much because there is so much of it that it could take me weeks to produce it. So I'll show you one at the end and see what you think, just to give you a bit of a memory. And I've chosen a piece of music today that is really about the crowd. The crowd are so loud on it; it's fantastic. Just to remind you what it was like. So that's one thing, and the song I've done. Oh, there it goes. So these are some of the bands that played this week. Now I know already we're missing the Groundhogs because somebody posted onto the so that's just going to prove the point that we're never going to get this right. But we'll come back to these bands in a minute. But we're never going to get this right. But it's a great way of just reminding us all some of the gigs it's missing when you look at the website.
Yeah,
yeah.
And the more people who, I mean, we weren't there. So if they were there and they say we were there and like send a ticket in or something, we'll know that gig's on and we can put it on the website and it'll sort of make it a more complete list now.
Yeah. A couple things you might not know about the website, which, you're right, Steve, bloody lawyers. You're not kidding, mate. I bet you have problems with them as well, and you're doing what you're doing. A couple things you might not know about the website, which shocked us again. We were inducted into the British, sorry, the Scottish, what's it called? The records, the national records for a website of historical significance. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Which was unbelievably exciting for us. Another thing, the book we did with Martin Keelty has also been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Ohio, into their library. So, there's a couple of things that have happened that we had no idea this was going to happen. So it's quite fantastic. What's this one? I need to go between. Steve saying 9th of November, 77 Rainbow played in the 10th Gillen. Oh, right, okay. So as I said earlier, mate, we're not going to get this right because there's just so much. We usually lead it by tickets tend to run it, don't they, mate? It's mainly when we get a ticket that we stick a new ticket on and a new gig. But if we know the gigs, we can get them confirmed, then usually it's fine.
Yeah.
Here's
I think I'll do. It says on the website there's a gig of the day on this day. I think I might do another bit of gigs this week or something, or gigs this month, maybe that.
Right.
I can try that. When I get
do some magic in the background. Okay.
Yeah.
How many gigs have we got on? Do you know?
I could tell you. I think.
The other thing, of course, is we're talking to. Sorry.
You might lose me, but
okay. Somebody's asking about Jet Mayfair. Of course, we remember Jet. When we did, Jet was I only met Jet twice. We maybe even have somebody that knew Jet on. Maybe I don't know if you knew Jet. The person's just said hello. Did you know Jet? We met Jet when we did the Apollo musical. I was there with Tommy McGrory. Yeah. And he was a funny wee man, but he passed, didn't he? Died a while ago, didn't he? I think he did.
Yeah, I think a few years, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I think.
It was a wee while ago. But the other thing that is quite exciting is we know like the guy who used to run the Apollo. We know him quite well, Frank, and he loves this. I mean, he cannot believe how important the Apollo is to so many people. He was an old rascal, and we all know he was. But honestly, his heart was bursting when he came across. If you remember, Andy, for the first musical.
Yeah, he did. That's right.
Came across, and it was lovely. And it turns out his wife and I are related. Weird. She's a MacArthur from Campbelltown, and my dad's a MacArthur from Campbelltown. So that we're not direct cousins, like we're second cousins or something. It's weird. Anyway, who's this saying they've got old diaries? Oh, this is Moira. Let me just put this up. So Moira's saying, consulting her old diaries, I say I was at Jethro Tull concert on the 12th of November 1974. God, I was 8. Can you beat that one?
Yeah. Well, I just looked up the number of bands that we've got listed.
Yeah.
Is 818, and the number of gigs is 1,708 gigs.
Jesus, that's amazing.
But that'll include all the greens ones that we've got listed, and some weird, not weird, but some things like the benefit gigs for striking Upper Clyde shipbuilders.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
the Red
yeah.
Clydesiders. Were
And I
they
think
there?
there's some other stuff like orchestras and such in there. Scottish orchestra played in the greens
Did
occasionally.
they? All right, okay.
40s, I think. Yeah.
Here's Jackie telling us she was at the. It's only what 6 days time. 73 was the Motley the Hoople Queen gig. My God,
Well, that would have been good.
I wish I'd been at that.
I
I
think
wish.
I've heard the bootleg of that.
I think
I
there
think
is.
there's a. I think Jack's got the bootleg.
Jack's got the bootleg.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, guys. If you don't know Jack, Jack's been collecting the bootlegs from the Apollo now. You need to ask him. He's busy with his grandchildren today. I'm speaking to him on Monday. But he was saying, that he's been blown away by it as well. He's got. I think there's over 200 or over 300. Don't hold me to that, but he's got a lot of gigs. So again, we can probably between us, we can showcase bits and pieces of music every week from gigs. I think it might be too much work for us to get the gig exactly on the day, because I don't fancy doing that job. But nevertheless, it'll mean we can have a variety. Hello,
Yeah.
Brian. Brian Drummond. There's Brian Drummond, Andy. Brian Drummond. That's it says Facebook user. Hello, Brian. We grew up together. That's why we're saying hello. So anyway, so that's one of the ideas. So we'd like to talk about what happened this week, who was at the gig, and if we can, we'll play a piece of music either by the band from that week, or we'll just play a piece of music by one of the bands, just randomly chosen from the collection. It's massive. Somebody who wrote in, I can't remember who it was, but a fella wrote in to us and said, "Do you realise what you're doing here? Because it's going to take a lot of work." Yep. But no, we're going to keep going. I'm not giving up. I want us to keep going, because I know this is going to mean a lot to folk if we get it right. So anyway, so that's it. In terms of logistics, I've given you the email address. I'll put it back on again. If you get any ideas, any feedback, and if you think we're talking pish, just tell us, and we'll keep talking pish, but at least we'll know you don't like it. But it's important that we know you're there, and you let us know that if you're enjoying it or not. The other thing I'd like to do, and this was something Andy and I have spoken about loads of times, is I reckon you could nearly rebuild the Apollo by the amount of folk that say they've got an artifact from the Apollo. They are everywhere. And we even managed at one point to track down, the stat. Here's Andy and I got this from Rock Radio. Tom Russell gave Andy and I one of these, these I was there trophies that they used to give a band when they sold the place right out. Well, Frank Lynch, believe it or not, the guy who ran the Apollo, didn't have a statue. And we eventually tracked one down for him. And I think it might have been Martin Kilty. I can't remember who it was, but somebody found one in a junk shop in Glasgow. And we got it to Frank Lynch. So that was an amazing moment. But there's a hairdresser. I don't know if he's there now, actually, because I don't live in Glasgow anymore. But there was a hairdresser in Sauchiehall Street. It was all very posh. But in the window, he had a glass box. And in that glass box, there was a brick. And on that brick was from the Glasgow Apollo.
Well, I was like, I was in Scotland recently.
Yeah.
But I had to look up the loft of the flat, and I could not find my armrests that I got. I had two armrests, blue thick corduroy material, and I got that Iron Maiden. I didn't break it off anything.
No.
It was just lying on the ground. As I left my road, it was decimated. It was just there, and I think I got another one from, I don't know, it might have been Dio or something, but it was the same. It was just the chairs just broke, I think, and
that happened all the time.
It was but
that's my art. Thanks for your feedback, Steve. Out of your depth, boys, but it's great. We knew that would happen, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Thanks, mate.
It doesn't matter. We're just playing.
Just playing. And the Motley Hoople. I wish I was older and I could have been to that Motley Hoople Queen gig. It must have been absolutely brilliant. I'd love to have been at that. Love to have been. I saw Queen, but I saw them in their last gig. I saw them at the Nebworth gig. Were you at that? Did you come down to that?
Nope.
No.
No.
Okay, so there's some of the ideas we've been thinking about. The other thing
hold on. You were talking about Jack.
Yeah.
You have to give him his second name, because no one knows what his second name is. Because if they're new to it, they don't know. It's Jack McCafferty. Also, if you want to join his group, it's Rescued Recordings, Glasgow Apollo. Jack McCafferty. If you want to join his group, he's got lots of bootlegs there that you can. Yeah, it's a great resource there. He's got all the bootlegs that he's collected.
He's a top fella.
I think there's over 200. I think he's got.
I think there is, mate. I think there is. And here's Tommy saying, "Yeah, Jet passed away a few years back.
Right.
I used to interview him for 20 minutes. The Disco Punters loved him. He was mental, but in a nice way. Got many stories to tell about the whole Apollo building. One story we found the carpet store that would. There's enough carpet that would carpet the whole of Glasgow. It's good, and it had it's good.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's a story about Rod Stewart. I don't know if you've heard that one. That he got a whole load of that carpet and did his games room in it. And to this day, he's got his games room carpeted with Glasgow Apollo, Green's Playhouse carpet, which I think Frank Lynch said to me was true. But that's fantastic. Anyway, so that's what we're hoping to do. And we've been on already for half an hour, and that was all I said we would do tonight. So, but what I'd like to do is ask you to have a think for us. We'd like to give this show a little bit of a name. Now, we're thinking about just saying I was there, or we're thinking about Apollo Memories, or just the Glasgow Apollo Live. But if you have any ideas, please drop us an email into that. I'll just show you. Drop us an email to apollomemories@yahoo.co.uk. And if you win, we'll give you a copy of the book, because I think it's a good wee book, and we're quite proud of it. And I think you'd enjoy it if you've never read it before.
Could we? Oh, no, sorry. I was going to say we could put on a poll for the name, but
we could do that. But we'll see what folk come back with. When we're not running Radio Clyde here.
Obviously.
Chris Welsh has just said sticky carpet. Yeah, it was. God, God.
Yep.
That chap who was on. Sorry.
I remember. Well, probably a lot of people remember walking in through the door, and then into the main auditorium, in the part where you go down the steps, and open that door, and it was just that fusty kind of mushroomy smell, patchouli oil.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was patchouli oil. A bit young at the time, so
yes,
could have been patchouli oil, could have been something else.
Yes,
probably both.
I can still smell it. You know, when you think, they do say your brain remembers smell really powerfully, and I can still smell it. I swear I can. Where can we buy the book? I don't know. I suspect Martin Kilton's website.
If you go to, it's on Martin's website. But we can put a link on the site Facebook.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Or you can go to go to eBay Russell's book for 450 quid.
Does Russell know that's sorry, guys. Russell analyst who wrote the second book about the venue, and he did.
No, he wrote the first book.
No, he wrote the second book, mate. He wrote the second book. There's a book. There's a book about the Greens Playhouse, which is Albert Roberts or something. His name was. I can't remember.
Okay.
Oh God! Let Ian Barnes. I need to show this one. Look, this is what Ian Barnes used to blow back bogies out your nose for a week after a gig. Oh dear! I don't remember it being that bad. Oh dear. And it was Michael Kelly saying the Rush gigs were amazing. Now wait a minute, Rush are my favourite band, and I never saw Rush at the Apollo. I saw them at the Ingliston on the Signals tour because they didn't play the Apollo when I was at the right age. Here's Chris saying he likes patchouli. I like patchouli as well, actually. I've still got it kicking about in his room somewhere. Yeah, it's quite nice. Anyway, so that's basically it. for tonight. It was only a pilot. Oh, here we go. There's another one. Nice and sleazy. Oh, that's quite a good idea. That's quite a good idea. Anyway, we'll have a think about it, folks. Now, this, after we close it, it saves onto YouTube. And when Andy and I get a chance, we'll set up a YouTube channel. But in the moment, it'll go into my YouTube channel. Now, you'll probably be bored to death with what's on there. I won't even tell you. But it'll be there. And I'll put a little bit that says Glasgow Apollo Live. And I'll share the link on the Facebook group so you can watch the show again. And that also means that we can look at the comments and we can see what we've missed, Andy, because there's so many comments. It's unbelievable. Yep. There's a lot of Rush fans, and I like that. I'm happy to put a Rush t-shirt on next week. But we'll have a look. But if you can have a think about a possible name, there's a couple of good ones already for that. And as I said, if you don't mind dropping us a line, I'll put it back on again, to apollomemories@yahoo.co.uk. So that is our pilot, guys. It would be brilliant to see you here again next week. I'm not sure how I'm going to deal with all these comments because there's so many of them. I don't want to ignore anybody because I know it means stuff to people. I'll have a think about that. We've had some offers of technical help as well. We might need it with the sheer amount of folk that are coming online here, because I don't want to piss anybody off because I've not answered their questions. Evening news headline. This is from George Price. Stranglers and nude women shock. Great gig. Oh, God. I saw a nude woman once at a...
Is that George Price from Carluke?
Is that George Price from Carluke? Is that you, George? Just while you're having a think, it's Dougie Curry saying, great to hear we're having a weekly show. Well, thanks very much. It's quite anyway.
It's just what have
we done? Anyway, thank you very much. I'm going to play us out now, and this is the sort of thing I'd like to do every week. And it is George Price from Carluke.
All right.
Hello, George. That's a small world, isn't it?
Thank you.
There's a few bootlegs out there, as you know, and I'm not going to play the whole song tonight, but I think next week we'll play a whole song. But I've chosen this song mainly because it's brilliant in terms of the audience. So listen, folks, I'm amazed. There's been over 100 people tuned in. That is ridiculous. So thank you very, very much. I hope you like this little bit of music as we finish off. And we'll see you next week, maybe at the same time, but let me know about the time, because we might even need to move this to a Thursday or a Saturday, but at the moment, we'll keep going at this time until we get our spot absolutely right. So thanks very much. Get us some feedback. Let us know what you think, and we'll see you next week. Cheers now.
Thank you. Thank you.